Friends, hi, namaste, and a very warm welcome to today's episode. In our journey of the century, we have now reached the second half, that is the 1960s or the swinging 60s, as many call this decade. Like all other decades, this decade has also got its story of extremes. On the one side, there are assassinations of important persons, there are conflicts, and on the other side, there is tremendous progress in the field of space travel. As in this decade, the Americans land their spacecraft on the moon for the first time. Also, this decade sees the final death of colonialism, and as many as 32 African colonies gain their independence in the 1960s. The story of India in the 1960s is a bit of a struggle, as India loses two prime ministers in quick succession. There are serious conflicts with the neighbors, major political realignments, and major economic reforms that happen in the country. So let me tell you today the India story in a bit of a detail. The 1960s start off well enough for India, as in 1961, Goa, the last colony of the Western powers, is liberated after a Portuguese rule of 400 years. Then in 1962, there is a major conflict between the Chinese and the Indian forces. Right from the beginning, the Indian border with China was disputed by the Chinese, and talks between the two governments were going on since 1960. But on 1st October 1962, the Chinese, in blatant disregard to the negotiations that were ongoing, attacked the Indian army in both Ladakh sector as well as in the northeast. The Indian army is not prepared for this sudden attack, and they do not do well in this conflict. The Chinese gain the upper hand and capture several outposts within the Indian territory. In fact, the situation in the country is pretty grim. But the conflict ends in November, when the Chinese on their own declare a ceasefire and withdraw up to the line of actual control, which they claim is the boundary. In 1964, Jawaharlal Nehru, the prime minister who was serving India since independence, dies on 27th of May. His death would have led to a leadership vacuum, but his successor, Lal Bahadur Shastri, proves to be a very competent prime minister. He takes over charge in June 1964 and is able to lead the diverse and vast country well. But his prime ministership is cut short when he dies on 11th January 1966 in Tashkent, then in Soviet Russia, where he had gone to sign a treaty between Pakistan and India after the 1965 Pakistan-India conflict. In fact, he dies one day after signing the treaty. The most talked about event in the prime ministership of Lal Bahadur Shastri is the India-Pakistan conflict of 1965. Pakistan, being emboldened by the 1962 attack on India by the Chinese, suddenly attacked India in 1965 August, claiming that half of Kutch province in Gujarat belongs to them. But this time the Indian army is well prepared and the Pakistani forces are pushed back. The war spills over into other sectors, and the Indians under the leadership of General Jain Chaudhary drive away the Pakistanis and reach handshaking distance of Lahore. The conflict comes to an end at this time through a UN mandated ceasefire, and since then the border tension between the two countries have always remained. After the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri, the mantle of prime ministership passes on to Indira Gandhi, the daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the information and broadcasting minister in the Lal Bahadur Shastri cabinet. She takes over charge in February 1966, and it is during her tenure that major political alignments happen. In the 1967 general elections, the Congress is voted to power in Lok Sabha with a very thin majority, but it is in the states where the major changes take place. In as many as 9 states, the Congress is defeated by the opposition, and governments in these states are formed by the opposition for the first time. Also, in this election, we see the rise of regional politics for the first time when DMK sweeps to power in Tamil Nadu under the leadership of CM Annadurai. Since then, the Congress has remained a fringe player in Tamil Nadu. Also, coalition politics starts for the first time in 1967. In Bengal, a united front comprising of 14 political parties formed the ministry under the breakaway Congress leader Ajay Mukherjee, and in several Hindi-speaking states, coalition governments are formed under the name of Sangyukt Vidhayak Dal. Earlier in 1964, the Communist Party of India is vertically split on the question of whether to follow the Chinese line or to continue with the Russian line. The breakaway group, the Communist Party of India, Marxist or CPIM, does better than the parent CPI in many states in the 1967 elections. Then in 1967 again, the Communist Party again suffers another breakup when a faction breaks away from the newly formed CPIM and name themselves as Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist or CPI-ML. This CPI-ML is the supporter of armed revolution, and it is under their leadership, the Naxal movement in Naxalbari in North Bengal happens. In 1966, precisely on 6th June 1966, the Indian currency is devalued for the first time since independence, and it goes down by 36.5% against the dollars. Then in 1969, Indira Gandhi, who by then has slowly consolidated her position, decides to nationalize 14 large commercial banks. Prior to that, there was no other government banks in the Indian banking sector other than the State Bank of India. And the banking has always remained in private hands. The bank nationalization, though welcome at that particular time, has a deep effect on the Indian economy. This can be particularly understood in the current scenario when talks of privatizing the nationalized banks are going on. The 1960s also sees spectator violence in the Test cricket arena for the first time. It happens twice. The first time it happens in 1966 against a test match with West Indies, and again in 1969 in the India-Australia test match. And both the events happen in Kolkata. Unfortunately, in the second incident in 1969, 6 spectators lose their lives. As the decade slowly draws to an end, it seems that the struggling stage of India is easing out a bit, and Indira Gandhi, through the nationalizations of banks and other industries, slowly is easing out the Indian economy. With the close of the decade, time now to close the program of today. Before that, let me ask the what if question. What if the nationalization of banks had not happened in 1969? What would have been the shape of the economy? Viewers, please ponder. We'll see you next time with the story of the other parts of the world. Till then, bye, namaste, and thanks.